I bust my ass, Luke.
Some great news for Georgia fans over the weekend. I'm sure a lot of you heard this, but all of Georgia's 2019 class is now enrolled and on campus at UGA. And of course, the big news here, George Pickens. Don't want to, it is what it is with his grades or whatever, but there was some worry or doubt about whether or not he would qualify right away. Or whether he may have to go a year to JUCO. He's qualified, he's enrolled, he's in Athens, he's moved in, everything's good to go, and this is great news. All right, if you saw my video the other day about Impact Freshman, then you already know how I feel about George Pickens. I think he's got, but why is someone calling me? I'm trying to do LuTube. I'm not even answering that. I'm doing LuTube, lady. No, lady, how about you shut the up? I'm doing LuTube, bitch. George Pickens is somebody we need to come in this year and give us help right away in my mind. Georgia's loaded at a lot of different position groups on the field. You look at their last 3 or 4 recruiting classes. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure that out. But I'm a little bit worried about the wide receiver position. I like Jeremiah Holloman, 6'3", 200 pounds, got a lot of experience. But we lost almost everyone else who's ever caught a pass for the University of Georgia. They're gone, right? So we need some new guys to come in and step up. I'm not 100% sold on some of the sophomores and juniors that have sort of been waiting in line. Now, they're going to get a chance this summer and this fall to work their way into the starting lineup. We'll see. But when it comes to pure talent and potential and ceiling, George Pickens and, of course, Blaylock are probably 2 of the most talented receivers on our roster. And I said in that Impact video that I made when I talked a lot about George Pickens, I think Georgia needs a freshman wide receiver to step up and play this year. I like Holloman, 6'3", 200. He'll probably be the number 1. I like Demetrius Robertson. He disappeared last year, had a hard time picking up some of the playbook from what I've heard, some blocking issues, which don't get me started on that. But I think he will be your starter in the slot this year. He's an undersized guy. He's 5'10", something like that, blazing fast speed, though, perfect slot receiver. We need another guy at the wide receiver position to step on the other side. Now, Tyler Simmons has been okay for the University of Georgia, but I wouldn't consider him an elite level receiver at all. I do expect him to start probably week 1, regardless of how good Pickens and Blaylock end up being. I think you'll see Holloman and Simmons on the outside with D-Rob in the slot. That's my pick for the starting wide receivers, if you want to look at it that way. But if you've been watching Georgia, you know they rotate receivers in and out of the game. And we need some of these young guys to step up this year. Georgia, it's been a long time since Georgia had a legitimate threat at the wide receiver, a truly elite wide receiver. You probably got to go back to A.J. Green. And while I'd love to have another A.J. Green, we may not have another A.J. Green in my lifetime, and I understand that, but we need somebody to be a true elite number 1 wide receiver. It's been a long time since Georgia lined up on offense and the opposing defense had to go, okay, now who's our best defensive back? We need to make sure we put our best DB on him. It's been a long time since Georgia had a receiver that garnered that type of attention from the defense. I think Georgia needs that. If you look at Clemson and Alabama, 2 of the best teams in the country over the last couple of years, they're loaded with elite NFL wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy, one of the best wide receivers in college I've ever seen. You look over at Clemson, you got T. Higgins and Justin Ross. Both of those guys will be first-round draft picks in the NFL, in my opinion. And Alabama's got 2 or 3 more guys, too, that will be playing wide receiver in the NFL. They're just absolutely loaded. And I think all of those guys are better than anybody on Georgia's roster at the wide receiver position. I'm very high on a lot of position groups at Georgia. Defensive back, offensive line, running back. But wide receiver is one area where we're definitely behind the Alabamas and the Clemsons of the world, Oklahoma, Ohio State. I think they all have better wide receivers than Georgia. We need some of these young guys to step up. I think Blaylock can potentially be that guy, but George Pickens is the one I've sort of focused on. You can flip a coin between those two. I think George Pickens has a lot of potential. Him qualifying and enrolling at UGA this past weekend is great news. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to sweat it. We don't have to try to guess if he's going to make it anymore. He's there. We need him to step up. It's great news for me and for the Georgia football team. But anyway, I just wanted to touch base on that real quick for you guys. It was a big story this past weekend, so there you go. Have a great morning.